Hi. Welcome to the Human Design for Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Yvette Mayer, and this show's for you if you're done with cookie cutter marketing and ready to build your personal brand in alignment with who you really are. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the Human Design for Marketing podcast. I'm super excited to find you here. If you're newer, welcome. I am very pleased that you found your way to this podcast. And if you are a loyal listener, oh my goodness, you're the best. Thank you. You make showing up here and recording the podcast so worthwhile. And I especially love it when you get in touch with me and let me know what you've been listening to and interact maybe over on Instagram in the DM or popping into my email. Even better still, getting active and leaving a review. All of these things excite me to no end. Anyway, back to the episode of the day. So today we're going to be exploring the gates on your body graph, especially the ones that can have a pretty significant influence on your marketing. But before we do that, I thought I'd give you a little bit of a life update. If you've been listening along, you will know that I have been on an epic adventure in my incredible camper van, Sia the Sprinter. We left home, which is south of Sydney, 2 hours south of Sydney, 3 weeks ago, and went all the way to Brisbane, actually to Queensland from here in one day. That was a big drive. And when I say we, I am talking about myself and my beautiful cavoodle, Chili Sparkles. And so we headed north. We had a stop at an event called Van Life, which was an amazing event, but unfortunately got very rained on, which didn't make it as fun as it could have been, but still had a lovely time, taught yoga, got to know things about the van that I had been yet to discover. Then we continued further into Queensland and stayed in the hinterland of the Gold Coast whilst prepping for a big day in a studio recording the launch content for my very own Human Design for Marketing inspired YouTube channel. Yeah, that is coming to your eyes and ears soon. Not just your ears. We're going like totally 360 visual and high tech and all of that good stuff. So that's going to be coming very, very soon. Now, this whole adventure was both exciting and very terrifying. Let's call it terrifying because, gosh, I don't think I've ever invested to this level in my business in quite this way. I made a significant investment into a team led by my incredible producer, Sal. The studio itself was, it was next level awesome, like a specific studio built for YouTube content. There was a team of, I want to say 10 on hand, everything from wardrobe to makeup, hair, sound editor, graphics, like everything you can imagine, director, producer, all of it. So it was a big day. And we definitely captured some pretty incredible footage, but it is too early for me to have actually seen the outcome of all of this footage. So all I can say is this. I believe and trust that you are going to love what we're bringing forward into the world through this shoot and onto the YouTube channel in the months and years to come. Strap in, get excited. I believe you'll be tuning in to fresh new content every single week and able to take advantage of this wisdom and the downloads that are coming through me in service of you expressing yourself better in your marketing and elevating your frequency so you can attract those dream clients with more ease as your authentic self. So that's the big news of recent weeks. I've missed recording every single week because being on the road, not only did we have a big week up in Queensland with the filming, we then went and set up camp in the van in a place called Brunswick Heads, which is near Byron Bay. And so I had the absolute delight of working from van life
hello, I am officially experienced at the full van life where you're actually living in the van. Now, I said I learn a thing or two over the weekend event that we went to called Van Life, but this couple of weeks, holy moly, I didn't realize how little I really understood how to use every aspect of my van. I honestly didn't. I feel very sure of myself now. I also know where there are some potential things to fix, which was both surprising and frustrating, but also it's a good feeling before I actually take the big, bold step of renting out this incredible investment property. Yeah, I'm calling my van an investment property, and it is going to be coming to Camplify and being rented out sometime soon. But I didn't feel comfortable or confident to do that without this big trip. So the big trip is done. I am now sitting at home. I've been back for less than 24 hours. I am so honestly pleased to be back in my own space, in my beautiful bed. I love my bed more than anything. My doggy, not the biggest fan of van lifing, I have to admit. She's a bit of a princess. She's now back in her routine, and geez Louise, does she look happy. She is so happy. It's like if a dog could smile, she's smiling. Legitimately. And that's a good thing for me as well, because she wasn't my greatest asset when it came to getting a good night's sleep over the last couple of weeks. Okay, enough of an intro, but fun things to share. And I do want this podcast to give you a bit of behind the scenes of my life, as well as all the human design for marketing wisdom to help you take your business forward. So let's pivot now. Let's talk about your body graph and the gates that you have stationed in the planets on your body graph. Now, if you have a lot of experience with astrology, this is going to make a lot of sense to you, because the roles of the planets, which are the placements of all the gates when you look at your body graph, the roles are the same in astrology as in human design, which is not very surprising when you appreciate that human design is the culmination, if you like, or the fusion of a few different modalities, one of them being astrology. And astrology plays a significant role naturally, because astrology is based on the planets. The planets are such an incredible influence on everything in our life, from the calendar to the moon and the sun. Sorry, they are planets, but you know what I mean? Like the impact of those things on our emotions, on the tides, all of that. And so when you look at your human design chart and you see all of the gates that you have listed, and you're going to see them on both sides of your chart, the personality side, which is the right-hand list of numbers down the right. This is the gates where they were stationed at the time of your birth. And then when you look at the left side of your chart and you see all of the planets and the gates that were activated, this is what is known as design or less conscious side of your body graph. These positions are exactly 3 months before you were born. And so this is like deeper inside of you. They're all very relevant. And there are some positions in particular, we're going to talk about the Mars on this less conscious side as part of this podcast episode that are really worth contemplating. And there's nuances in your entire chart. And I want you to know that human design is a very beautifully deep and long exploration. And no matter where you get to with it, from my experience, there are cracks and crevices that will be anew to you forevermore. That is absolutely what I have found to be true. And you're going to, at different times of your experiment with human design, go looking. You're going to go looking and picking up the rocks to see what's underneath. And you may spend weeks or months in a completely different part of the chart than you even knew existed when you first had a reading. This is so true and apparent. And typically, when it comes to the gates, we don't go diving into every single gate and position in the chart at the beginning, because you would be there forever. And to this day, like, I spent a long time, and this is a hint or something you might want to do, but I spent a couple of months journaling on the role of a planet and what gate I had stationed, both from the gate number and the profile line of that gate. And I just went through them one at a time over a month, 2 months. I wasn't religious every single day, but I took myself around all of them to get more familiar. Now, the truth is, when I got to the end, I couldn't remember everything. So this is a process for me as well. And of course, the more that I am so dedicated to bringing this work through, the more I get familiar with my own chart and have experience with others. That adds to the nature of what I'm able to share with you, because real lived examples make this so much more tangible and easy for you as well to use. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through the key gates that at this point of my experiment, I believe are very relevant to your marketing. I'm also going to share with you why I've chosen these gates. And then for each, I'm going to give you an example of what I have in this position in my chart and how it's affected me, because I think in doing this, it's going to become more resonant in the way that you interpret this for yourself. So today we're going to be talking about gates. We're going to be talking primarily about the gates on the personality side of the chart, because I want you to go there first. But in time, you're going to explore the gates that are in the same planetary positions on the other side, down the track, when you're like so engrossed and embodied in your human design expression that you're like, I need more, I want to keep going with this. And you will do that. I absolutely believe you will. Okay, so we're going to start off with the sun and your conscious sun. Now, we've spoken about this before because it is such a key input into the Human Design for Marketing blueprint, because this is the primary placement in your entire chart. This is akin to your star sign, and I'm talking about that gate that is in the top right-hand corner when you're looking at your body graph, located, stationed in the sun at your time of birth, okay? This accounts for 70% of the energy that you are brought in through into the world, because the sun is so huge when it comes to life force. And when it comes to your marketing, the sun placement aligns with your outer expression. It's what you are here to give to the world. So of course, this is the essence of your personal brand. What you're here to bring to the world is your brand. And when you do start to really understand and integrate this learning, you are very likely to feel this, not just in a, I will learn to feel this, but in an embodied, I already am living this. This is how powerful human design is. So when it comes to the personality sun placement in my chart, I have the gate 3 and it's 3.5. So I'm going to focus just on the gate numbers in this episode. We can talk lines another time. We've talked profile lines in the past, and all of these pieces come together beautifully. But we're just going to go with the gate numbers this time. So gate 3, what does gate 3 mean? Well, gate 3 is about difficulty at the beginning. The way that I interpret this for myself is my life has been a series of difficulties at the beginning, and through my own, not just personal development, but ability to learn and grow through challenge, this is how or what I would say is the gateway to my biggest breakthroughs. I mean, it starts as young as when I was under the age of 7. I grew up in a household with a very emotionally abusive dynamic between my parents. There was a lot of verbal abuse, a lot. And so I learned at a very young age to keep quiet and get out of the way. And also I had a very lived experience as I matured into a teenager, where I was scared of going home after school every day. I was very, I was going to say terrified. I've used that word already, but let's just say I was somewhat terrified of coming home. My dad is an alcoholic. He's still alive. He's non-functioning. He can't look after himself. And of course, this was a very difficult childhood. Mum did the best that she could to hold space for his energy without disrupting the family, but that wasn't great for us either. And so, yes, I would say that there was a lot of difficulty in my childhood. I didn't know any better. I didn't know it was difficult. I just knew that my house wasn't somewhere that I really loved inviting other people over. I didn't invite friends over, or if they did come, they didn't really like being there because the moods were very volatile. And I also had the experience of being told that I was just like my father. That really was tough on me because I spent a lot of time feeling that I was a defective model, that I had this inside of me. Now, this whole thing, I know in many regards, has made me the resilient, brave, courageous, kind, driven human that I am. It also no doubt influenced my decision to become sober 5 years ago. So difficulty, but resolved into, I know myself, I trust myself, I am my own unique expression and addiction-free at this point in my life. And so this is the gold part of my line 3. Now, if you've been around a while, you'll know I've had other very difficult things happen in my life. The biggest being a breast cancer diagnosis in my late 30s, which didn't just rob me of time and health, it also robbed me of my fertility. So very difficult thing to go through. But through that process, I finally saw the truth of not being fulfilled and lacking purpose in my life. And that really was the friction that I needed to start to make a change towards becoming an entrepreneur. So as you can see, I really deeply resonate with the line 3, and not just in the way that it presents in my marketing, but at a very deep level. And what I have found to be true is, instead of resisting having what you could consider to be a hard gate in that position, I see it as, now I understand that this is part of my life journey and something that I'm here to rise up through. I mean, if you look at the gene keys, the shadow of this state of the line 3 is chaos. So things are a bit messy at the beginning. And then the gift is innovation. So this is my ability to innovate from a set of circumstances that are chaotic or difficult. So there's always different ways we can work with this. But then, yes, when it comes to my marketing, I know that when I share my truth of the difficult things that I've gone through and how I've navigated them and what it's meant in terms of the way that I've built my business and how I'm able to help others, that these types of content are actually the most engaging that I ever share. So that is a little summary of my sun gate for you to contemplate as you look at yours and work with understanding that at a deeper level. So that's the first one. The second placements, this is 2 placements that I'm going to talk to you about, is your north node and your south node. So when you're looking at your chart, we're not going to talk about your earth node, which the way I interpret this is more about an internal way of supporting yourself. We're going to go straight to the nodes, okay? Because we're talking marketing expression here. So the way that I work with the nodes is to understand brand story. And this is what part of the work that we do in the Frequency Project, where we look at different parts of the blueprint or the body graph for clues as to how can I see my story through my chart. So when you're looking at your body graph, you're going to look at your south node, and then that is going to inform what you were born into, or what is a consistent element of you that you came into the world with. Okay, so in this position, I have the 4, gate 4. And then in your North Node, you're going to be looking for where you're journeying towards in this lifetime. So I have the 49 in my North Node, and I actually have the same on both sides of my chart, which isn't all that common, but it can happen. So for me, the narrative of my brand story starts with the 4, which is youthful folly, which is, it's a lot about using data to kind of hide what's going on and patterns and things like that. It's also, to me, if anything, it's more related to maths than English. Like, that's how I see it as well. It's like the analytics, the data that you're looking to, and also in a way even maybe hiding behind that with a little bit of a cheeky tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. And then the 49 is about revolution and principles. Oh my God, did you feel me just come alive when I said those words? Because I see this parallel. So my younger years, I wasn't very studious. In fact, I didn't even finish high school. But the one thing that I was good at in high school was maths, go figure, mathematics. I found the logic and the lack of debate around answers in maths much more aligned to myself as probably somebody who had a lot of self-doubt. I liked the black and white nature of answers in maths versus something like English, where it was down to somebody else's opinion and perception of what you had to say. And so that was where I felt more at home. I then, in a way, followed that into a career which was in advertising and in the specific field of media. Now, when you work in media and advertising, it is your role to determine where to invest the money that the client is spending on their ad campaigns. So think about this as if you're briefing me to run your Facebook ads. It was my role to come up with the strategy of where those ads would run, but for all channels, and balance the budget. And I'm talking about cost per thousand, or in TV land, it was called cost per rating point or cost per TARP. And that was the basis of my career. It evolved over time, and I actually ended up in the digital team, but all very much around this analytics and numbers. And when you talk youthful folly, it was also a very fun career. And I was all about the parties and all of the like shallowness, if you like, in the early parts of my life and career. Forward to now, I'm in my 50s, and I am much more in the space of being a voice for women being seen, being heard, creating more impact in the world, expressing their true self, standing up for the feminine way of doing business, leading the charge, being self-led, being role models, right? All of this is coming through me. And so I can absolutely see how the 4 through to the 49 is a huge part of my story. So this is what I want you to have a play with as well. Like, what's sitting in your South Node? Can you see that in where you've come from, or what is already in you? Because yes, things like my natural affinity to maths has not gone away. But over time, the thing that's pulling me forward is much more about this revolutionary energy. So that's the South and the North Node. The next thing I am going to talk to you about is your moon placement. So where was the moon? Moon moves very, very quickly. So it's like a moment in time, but where was the moon stationed at your birth time? For me, it was in gate 55. So this relates to what drives me. So, and the same for you. The moon is about what drives you. So I think of this as akin to finding your why. And you know how important this is in your, not just your marketing, but it's kind of like why you get into business for yourself in the first place. This is the power of your why. Holy moly, when I looked at this one in my body graph, I'm like, of course. the 55 is about abundance. And I'm not talking about financial abundance, although, of course, I love the idea of that and it's important to me. But I am talking about abundance of spirit. Oh, my goodness. This is so powerful for me. The biggest driving force for me to create my own business is because I felt so stuck, so drained, so trapped, so unhealthy in my corporate career. It was limiting my ability to expand as a human, as a soul, and as a spirit. So this is absolutely foundational to what drives me, this abundance of spirit. And of course, that is exactly what was reflected back to me when I looked at my human design blueprint. Another thing that I would say about what drives me, like when I think about my why, it's because I do not believe that we were designed to sit in an office and take orders and kind of bend ourselves into the shape of what our bosses want from us. That is not the best use of our skills, our talents, our unique brilliance and what we're here to bring, the value that we have to offer. Now, that's not to say that everybody should be an entrepreneur and that we are all fitting in a different kind of a box, which is a business owner. But I am so passionate about not being stuck in these conditioned ways of living. And for me, that was a corporate career where I followed my nose and kept getting promoted, despite the fact that it was pretty much destroying me on the inside. I felt so disconnected from who I really am, and that incredible lack of fulfillment. It was out of alignment with my values. Like, I could go on and on and on. And so, of course, what has really been my why and my North Star is the opposite of that, which I've termed feeling lit up and liberated, which is so where I want to live my life. And I want that for you as well, to be doing work that feels lit up and liberated, although I appreciate that that is a 70%er, because generators are designed to feel lit up, and you may want to feel peaceful or successful. You know what I mean? Back to the topic of the day. So this is the place in your chart, your Mars, where you want to have a contemplate about, is this what is driving you? Does this kind of feed into your why? And can you tell the story of why you do what you do anew based on this resonance in your human design chart? So that is the moon. The next placement, which I have spoken about on other episodes, that is, of course, important, is your Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communication. And it really is what you're here to communicate as a human. Honestly, when I work with this part of the chart of my clients, and, you know, we're into the tens and hundreds if you include my broader community, this generally isn't something that you have to think very hard about. It's like when you see what's sitting there, you will typically be like, oh, I talk about that all of the time, because it is hard-coded into you. You probably haven't ever thought of it as a theme or something that is what I would call repetitive. And then you work with your human design chart and you're able to see yourself more clearly, and the communication that you're actually born to bring forward. For me, this is the same as my sun. So I also have the 3 in my Mercury. So it's like a double dose of difficulty at the beginning. You know, I call this gate for marketing the alchemist, because it's about cracking open the external challenge that surrounds you and finding the magic and finding the gold, which is already inside of you. And when you find that gold, you're elevated into a new potential in your life. this, as I said, is in my Sun position. It's in my Mercury position. So it's not surprising that this is it is the biggest theme in my communication, that I talk to the problems, the challenges, the struggles, the hard times, both in my brand story and also in how I bring solutions, because off topic, but I am a line 5. So it is my go-to as a human as well to come up with practical solutions. So when it comes to thinking about my gate 3 in my Sun and in my Mercury, this tendency of mine, this influence activation of mine is neatly fitting in here, in that I will not just talk about the hard times and the challenging times and finding the gold, but I'm also going to bring you solutions as to how that you can do this as well. And you're going to find this on the podcast, right? I'm going to talk to you about the practical ways that you can support yourself with human design for marketing. How about that? So that is your Mercury. And again, for all of these, we've been focusing on the personality side. So the Mercury, when you look at the right-hand side of your chart. If you don't know what the individual gates, the planets are when you're looking at your chart, I would encourage you to go do a little bit of Googling, and in particular, look at the astrology planets, because it's the same. It's going to be in the same order. Next up, we are going to talk about your Mars, but in this instance, we're going to actually be looking at the design side, so the left-hand side of your chart. If you're wondering which one is your Mars, it's the one that has a circle and an arrow pointing out till about 2 p.m. Okay, so your Mars is all about what you're here to rise to. And it's kind of the challenges that you rise through in your earlier life. According to Richard Rudd, who we talk about a lot on this podcast, who is the creator of the Gene Keys, when you work with this aspect of your chart, you're going to be looking at what you're designed to do for work, otherwise known as your vocation, but also the shadow side of this, what Richard refers to as the shadow of this unconscious Mars, is your biggest block to success in your work. Okay, so these are really worthy of contemplating. I think when it comes to how this plays a role in your marketing, it's about what types of work that you're designed to do and how you support others with this work. So it can really play a part in the offers that you create. So for me, I have the 14 in this position in my chart. This was a big one for me to really contemplate. It's definitely changed the course of my business in a good way. So when I started to look at this, I observed that the shadow of the 14 is about compromise. It's about compromising yourself for others generally, or it might be about compromising your values with self so that you self-sabotage. Either way, right? And so when I looked at this, I'm like, ooh, so that's what I do to prevent me having the work success that I desire. Now, the gift, so the success part of this is competency, and the citic state, like what happens when I'm operating in full competency, is bounteousness. Bounteousness refers to the riches. So I literally have inside my design the ability to help people become more competent, and as they do that and as I help them do that, become richly rewarded for it. But the thing that's getting in my way is that I compromise myself. Whew, this is pretty big and something that I continue to explore. I have made some very big shifts in how I lead myself as a result of this. And that is ongoing, but powerful, big time powerful. How I support you based on my competency, well, it's kind of back to that practical solutions part of me as well. It kind of all comes together in that I have the ability to teach concepts very simply, and not just the concept, but the how to activate it for you so that you become more competent with my teaching, with my coaching, with my mentoring. That's how this comes through for me. And this field that I'm doing this in is this incredible fusion of human design and marketing. And I'm super proud that I have this ability to bring these two quite different bodies or theories. Gosh, is that what you want to call marketing? But you know what I mean? It's like, I refer to it as the blend of art and science that you get in both of these things. There's a lot of art and science in marketing. There's a lot of art and science in human design. When you bring them together, you have this unique ability to elevate frequencies by operating in alignment with your own energetics and gifts and talents and experiences. So that's how I do this in my own business. And it definitely informs the offers that I bring into the world, because I'm thinking about how can I help you better do this for yourself. So that's the Mars. I've only got one more gate that we're going to talk about on this episode, and that is your Uranus. And the reason I included this gate is because in a world where it is filled with competitive messaging, so much clutter, challenge around standing out and really finding those ideal clients of yours and attracting them, it is your difference that matters most. Getting clear on your differentiation is absolutely key for you when it comes to how you show up and express yourself in your marketing, for sure and for certain. And your Uranus is all about what makes you different or what sets you apart, what is unexpected about you. Okay, so for me, my Uranus is the gate 48. This gate is known as the well. It is about incredible depth. And again, I'm like, of course, this is what I have stationed in my Uranus. I have 30 years of experience in marketing from the small business clients that I work with now through to the multi-billion-dollar biggest businesses in the world. This is my depth of experience. I have 5 years of working with human design, and that is still pretty early on, I would say. But when you bring them together, I do have a lot of depth of experience compared to most people out there talking about human design and marketing. And there's not that many that are operating at this depth, right? This like all in, this is the thing that I am here to help you with. Then if you really think about it, it's not just that part of me, the past experience, it's what I'm doing right now. It's my line one, needing all of the information. It is the fact that I've spent the last 11 months or 10 months developing IP. I don't like it. I'm just scratching the surface here, by the way, people. So I'm like continually going deeper and deeper and deeper into extracting the most value, the most wisdom, the greatest depth of knowledge from a body of wisdom perspective in the world. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here to bring through to you. And that, my friends, is what differentiates me from a lot of other humans that are out there in the landscape teaching human design and marketing that potentially never worked in marketing in the past, have had a business for 5 minutes, half my age. Now, I'm not criticizing them. I'm just saying what makes me different, what gives me substance is the depth. Okay. There you go. That says it all. So that's it. They are the gates at this point that I believe are the most pivotal to experiment, contemplate, and really just take your time with exploring and seeing what nuggets that you find in your own chart, which parts are really resonant for you. And you don't have to love it all or feel like, yeah, this is a fit for me and gosh, this is going to change forever how I market myself. Not at all. You really look for the parts that meet you in a way that makes a difference to you. You look for the parts where you're like, holy moly, this feels powerful. This feels true. I get this. I get this in my body. This is how I express myself differently so that my marketing comes through me in a way that lands better than it ever has. That's what we're looking to do here by bringing human design and marketing together. It's that sweet spot. I always think about it as your most unique and authentic self-expression. And when you get that piece right and you understand the landscape and the clients that you're calling in, you are on your way, my friend, to the most magnetic marketing that you've ever created as a personal brand. So that's it for this week. New news. I am going to be running the Influence Activation Masterclass 90-minute deep dive into the profile lines next week. If you're catching this live, you may have seen me run this before, but there is brand new content in this masterclass. So make sure you sign up. I am going to be sharing the new profile lines archetypes, and they are so freaking cool. You will discover, are you the maven? Are you the queen? Are you the pioneer? They're just 3 of the 12 profiles that I've built into archetypes so that you can feel into them or more resonantly, more powerfully. That connection can help you show up and be this version of yourself that radiates your magic out into the world. So I can't wait to introduce all of that goodness in the masterclass. I will put the link in to sign up in the show notes. Other than that, I look forward to being back in your ears sometime soon. And P.S., like I said at the beginning, I love to hear from you. And if you want to go and leave me a review, 5 stars would be wonderful. Even better still, some kind words that would make my day. Have a wonderful week. Bye for now.
There are heaps more resources in the show notes. I can't wait to be back in your ears again soon. Bye for now.